Hey, good morning everybody. Hope the sound is okay. I just have an old heat shield so that way we can get into the corral and stay pretty warm but not have too much on for the actual race. So we're just heading into the park now. So we're just doing a little bit of warm up right now, but I gotta drop my bag off. So I'm gonna put the camera in the bag and I'll have my phone for a little bit, but other than that, we'll see you when it's all done. I'm excited to race again after the New York City Marathon and, you know, just get a shorter race in today. So let's go do it. Hopefully it won't be too long till we're back here. Just an hour and 20 minutes, that's the goal. We're just walking a little bit. We just finished our warm-up mile. I just wanted to warm up a little bit to get a little bit of heat in this heat shield that I have. So we should be good to the race now. It's probably about 40 minutes to the official start, but I'll just be walking around doing a little bit of dynamic stretching maybe. And I just met Martin, I believe, so it's good to meet Martin. And I met someone else, so I didn't catch your name in the car going by, so you must work with New York Roadrunners, but good to meet you as well. And we'll have to look for Carl in Corral B or see if we run into him. But so far the energy is building up. Everyone's still just showing up for the race, so we'll see how it goes.
Columbia and NYU here in New York City.
What an incredible running back. I mean, we're just talking about my Achilles getting into the crowd.
So that was the Ted Corbitt 15K. It was an awesome day, really great weather for racing, just really sunny day, clear day, no wind, and just a good day to go fast out there in New York City. Before I even give you my time or tell you anything else, I have to say, you know, I met so many people yesterday and I'm actually shocked and I guess kind of humbled already at this point of how many people, one, recognized me and two, actually wanted to come up and say hello. Just really surprised. I didn't think there was that many people that, you know, really even followed along at this point, but a lot of people had nice things to say about the New York City Marathon video and also just subscribing and joining and following along on the channel. So thank you to all of you. I appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the ride so far, and, you know, we're going to keep going forward from here. So as for my actual time, I came in at 1:20:46 was the official time, my Strava. I was pretty close with my watch. I stopped my watch at 1:20:45. So just 1 second off from the official time. I'll put up, my Strava here just because it has more details and more breakdown. It said I came in around 8:35 per mile. It's probably listed a little bit fast because I was getting my mile splits probably like 25 yards or 20, 25 meters or so before the mile markers. So my watch probably has me going 400 meters or something longer than the actual race or something like that, probably closer to 200, like not very far off, but it may just make my pace look faster because my watch is saying I went a little bit longer than the actual 15-kilometer distance. But overall I felt good. I would also ignore my heart rate on Strava. I think with the wristwatch, again, it's not completely accurate. I'm sure for some portions of this race and for some splits and miles, I was probably in the 170 heart rate. I was working pretty hard up the hills, especially at the end of the race. So, it is what it is, but just take it with a grain of salt. Heart rate and things like that are never going to be perfect at a race effort with a wristwatch. I was really happy with my splits overall. I pretty much went in and stuck to my plan. I'm glad that I had that kind of idea in my head of going out around 8:50, maybe dropping to around 8:40 in the latter half of the race. And it's tough. You can kind of see in the mile by mile splits, because it's so hilly, you naturally get miles that are quicker than slower, then quicker than slower, because your effort is changing on the uphill and the downhill. I also just felt out my body. By the first lap or so, I knew that I could settle into a pace or even pick up a pace a little bit quicker, and that I wouldn't be, thrown off, or I wouldn't be able to, not finish the race at that speed. And I continued to get quicker from there at that point and test kind of my limits and everything as we get back to quicker racing, at least for me. It was also just really nice to see so many of my, club members and things out there in the city that day. I think it was like 74 New York Flyers, which is the running club I'm a part of, raced for the Ted Corbitt 15K. And you can see, from some of the shots, the volume of people that came out and are just excited to get back to racing, in the winter. People are excited to get out there and race, those shorter distances. And frankly, any distance. I mean, it's been a while since even the big marathons were on until really this fall. So it's just nice to get back out there and get that done. The last thing I'll say about the race itself is that Central Park is such a unique race course. You become familiar with it. I kind of was able to mentally figure out in my head like where I needed to be able to push my body to, because I knew that the last hill climb was going to be right around, honestly, like mile 8. And so I almost was able to plan out my race in my mind mentally while I'm coming around the second lap in Central Park, that I could start to push myself and really push my limit to the point where maybe I can only finish like 8 miles, but I only needed 8 miles because that's the last big uphill. Then you have almost like 3/4 of a mile of big steep downhill racing. So and if I just kind of mentally prepare myself in chunks, it was push myself to mile 8, then just take the downhill and go with it. Then, at the end of the race where it's flat again, at that point, all bets are off. I'm just running as hard as I can, after the 9 miles I already ran. And, it turned out fine. Like my pace still dropped, but that, you don't even need to think about that. That's just push to the end, give it everything you have. So it's cool if you know Central Park to be able to figure out where you need to push and pull back a little bit. You can almost like plan for a shorter race and then take the downhill to the finish. No complaints. It's a good base to start off now. And now we just got to keep getting faster, try and get back to where we were in 2019, and then push beyond that in the years, months, whatever, how long it takes to follow that. The last thing that I'll talk about really briefly is, my shoe choice. I went with the Saucony Endorphin Pro version 1s that I made a video about and said, why I'm going to race in them in the upcoming races. They were $99. I think you can still get them for $99. So it's a great race option if you don't want to break the bank. $99 for, what is technically a super shoe is a great buy. But what I did experience was that it's a little bit firm. I think this is pretty well known, but this was my first experience racing in it for, an official race. And it's definitely a firm ride. By like mile 6 or 7, like I could really start to feel in my forefoot, like it was a little bit sore. It was fine for 9 miles. I probably would be able to handle it even for a half marathon or something like that. But it's not the choice that I would pick for, a full marathon. It's just a little bit more harsh. It's not as light as some of the other shoes. Like this here was actually a generous birthday present that I got this year. This is the Alpha Fly that I'll get to try out, you know, in some of the bigger races, you know, probably the New York City Half Marathon in March this, you know, coming year. But it's definitely a different feeling. This is just soft. It's like a trampoline when you put your foot in it, and the Endorphin Pro is just a little bit firm, a little bit harsh of a ride. I didn't feel as much energy return, so it is what it is, but I'm happy with my choice. I'm still going to continue to use it for some of these shorter races that I just want to, you know, get under my belt and have fun, and, you know, not put too much miles in something like this that's, you know, just more expensive. So like I said before, thank you everyone again who has been watching. Thank you for any new watchers here today. If you want to subscribe, go ahead and click that down below. Leave a comment if you have any questions about Ted Corbitt's or anything. I'm happy to answer it, and we'll get back to training and racing in the very near future. So I hope to see you in the next video.